Stress inoculation training. Stress inoculation training is a therapeutic technique created by Donald Meachenbaum and a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a progressive type of therapy, meaning it starts small by teaching the client to deal with small, everyday stressors first, then transferring that tolerance to larger stimuli. This training is based on the belief that we can modify our beliefs and self-performance to cope with stressful situations. Stress inoculation training encompasses a variety of skills, including information giving, cognitive reconstruction, problem solving, relaxation techniques, and self-monitoring. There are 3 phases of stress inoculation therapy. The first phase, the conceptual education phase, begins by developing a therapeutic relationship and alliance between client and therapist. Together, they begin to rethink problems and the nature of the stressors. The second phase is the skills acquisition and consolidation phase. During this phase, the therapist gives the client a variety of behavioral and cognitive coping skills. These allow the client to make lifestyle changes by changing their thought process and reevaluating their priorities. The third phase, the application and follow-through phase, focuses on the transfer from the therapeutic setting to everyday life. During this phase, the therapist may give the client activities and assignments, such as role-playing and journaling, also getting progressively harder in order to learn to cope in the real world. In this video, the client is in an abusive relationship she cannot get out of, and the therapist gives her ideas to change her views on reality.
Hi Felicia, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks for asking.
Okay, so the last session we mentioned that we were going to pick up on the topic that you wanted to talk about, your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. You said that he's been disrespecting you, and do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
It's a really hard subject for me to talk about because I'm really embarrassed by it. Long story short, we haven't been together very long, and it was moderate at the beginning, but he does put his hands on me, and last time before I came here, it was just really bad, and that's why I almost canceled. And I just try to cover myself up so that he wouldn't notice, but he's been beating me, and it's just getting worse. It's not getting any better. He always apologizes for it, but and I have my kids at home, so it's and I depend on him for a lot, so it's not that I can just leave him.
So you mentioned that you feel embarrassed. Why do you say you feel embarrassed?
I'm embarrassed for a couple of reasons. I know I can do better. If anybody from the outside looking in, when they come over, he's affectionate. But at the end of the day, he's not. He's affectionate with his hands. It's just, that feeling where you could do better, and you're kind of like putting on an act. So I'm embarrassed because I can't go around my family. I feel like if I tell my family, they'll want me to leave him, but I'm not ready to leave him right now.
What is it that you've done to avoid these, arguments? Does he hit you just because, or are there arguments that begin?
It's arguments that begin. It could be anything. He can come home drunk, hanging out with his friends, and if I don't want to, excuse what I'm about to say, if I don't want to have sex with him, he'll start beating me, or sometimes he'll even, take it, even if I say no.
Is this causing a stressor between your daily activities? For example, how are you doing in school? How are you doing at work?
Well, school is okay. I go online. Sometimes I'll even be doing my homework, and he thinks I'm paying too much attention to my homework, not enough attention to him. So yeah, my grades are slipping because I'll rush to the assignment, and I know I'm not presenting my best work to the teacher. As far as work is concerned, I haven't really been going because sometimes I'm bruised, and I just don't want to go to work and have people see me like that and knowing what I'm going through at home. I guess that could be part of where the embarrassment lies. The bruises that he leaves on my body is a big embarrassment. But luckily I try to keep it hidden. I put on makeup, I wear big clothes, just so that it's not noticeable.
So you mentioned that you've been missing work. Would it be worth losing your job over, for him hurting you?
Well, when you put it like that, I mean, it sounds bad, but I love him. You know, right now I am on a final at work, so if I'm late one more time or if I miss work, I could risk getting fired. But at the same time, I don't want to be lonely. I like to have him around. When it's good, it's good. You know, I have no complaints about him. He spoils me. He takes care of me. So, I mean, it's something to think about. But I really love him.
So you mentioned you have children.
Mm-hmm.
How is this affecting your children?
Well, my daughter is scared of him. She doesn't really go around him because these are not his kids. These are kids from previous relationships. And my son, one time, you know, tried to stop it. And, you know, I know that's not healthy for my kids. But it's just so hard to, you know, find that median. Like, I don't know if I'll ever find anybody that treats me that way, minus, you know, the abuse.
Do you feel that maybe you could sit down and talk to him about it? Maybe you can bring him in and we can have a session. Do you think that's something he would want to do?
Well, it could go either way. It could go 50-50. Either he'll be willing to come, or it could cause an argument, which will lead to the violence. So it's something that I'm willing to ask him. It's just I have to go about doing it, you know, in the right way. You know, back to just a thought in my head, like, I want to work through this with him, and I would, you know, sometimes I want to reach out to my family, but I know if I reach out to them, their automatic response is going to be, you don't need to be with him. But I believe nobody's perfect. We all have our demons, you know, and this is just his demon, and unfortunately, you know, it's lashing out on me. So I want to work through this, just him and I, and see if it's something that can be corrected and, you know, put in the past, and, you know, we move on and have, you know, a healthy relationship. So it's something I'm willing to try.
Well, it sounds that your family is another stressor other than, you know, the situation itself.
Right, because I have nobody to turn to. I mean, you're the first person that I've actually verbally spoken it out to. I don't call the cops. I mean, I don't know if my neighbor's here. And like you said, my kids are there. So, you know, my kids know, and, you know, I'm surprised they haven't, you know, said anything to my parents, but this is the first time I'm saying it out loud. And it's very stressful. It's very stressful, along with other stress that I, you know, have just in normal life. But this is just like the biggest thing right now.
So going back to the stressors, one is the whole situation itself, and then also having to keep it from your family. So maybe before we move on to that, we'll go ahead and try this. So maybe for the next session, that's something that we can look into.
Okay.
And you mentioned that that's okay with you. So for the following session, we'll go ahead and move forward from that.